How's everybody doing? Okay, you guys can hear me. That's good.
Yes.
There we go. It was eerily silent on my end. Just wanted to make sure. Donna Fox, I love your photo. I guess I should have guessed.
Thank you.
All right, let's give it a couple minutes here. How many people do we have in here? 33.
Hey Brandon,
Yeah,
I'm the one that emailed you yesterday in regards to the links. I'm not sure what everybody else's experience, has been, but even the links that you sent me, when I go
yeah.
in there's nothing for that 30-day trial. Everything is the 7-day, and then when you enter the code, it says it's invalid or something like that.
So it's funny. So Sasa emailed me last night. So just so I'm clear, because I'm having someone look into it right now. When you guys go to that page, which I think it was the pricing page, and it says the sign up for trial, free trial, and it is the 7-day trial. I'm giving you guys a 30-day one, which is what the code is for. When you enter the code at checkout, you're saying that code is not, it's just not working. And what
Correct.
is it
It's saying
showing you?
it's
Is it
invalid.
interesting? Okay. Let me I have a call with my development team right after this call, so let me flag that. We'll get it corrected today, and sorry about that. Um, we have codes that we use. This is the first, for some reason, this is the only code that's not working. And so I think I have an idea as to why it is not, which is what actually the meeting I'm having after this is about. So I will update the group today on that. So apologies about that. In the interest of time, because I know that I tend to be a bit long-winded and go over, I want to make sure that we get right into the material. We have 41 participants. Those who join will join. Um, but this should be a very interesting session for the group. So I'm going to just present my screen. So give me 2 seconds. You guys can see. And you guys can all see my screen, correct? All right. Today is going to be a little bit of reinforcement of what we talked about in session 1 and 2. And I know from just speaking with some of you on our one-on-one sessions, it's been really enlightening for me just to learn more about your business, to share with you, navigate, and how, you know, I believe it's a great tool to help. It is not the way, it is a way to prospect. But I really want to reinforce kind of just this methodical process and this build that we're doing, where we started with setting your goals, understanding your market, and understanding the properties in which you concentrate or focus on. And one thing that's actually surfacing, which is not part of this, which I think is an interesting, we'll call it adjacency, but complement to the property, uh, the knowledge of the properties in which you're focusing on, is also the kind of the profile. I had an interesting discussion with someone who they had worked with several properties that were in trusts, and it gets a bit, those deals get a bit hairy, and they become a subject matter expert in it, and developed an expertise, and that expertise should be on full display. And so when we talk in the subsequent weeks about how do we market ourselves to our prospects, what are the things that we feel are unfair advantages or competitive edges, those things should naturally rise to the surface. So we'll talk more about in subsequent weeks. But today's session is about, as you guys have heard me say, property first prospecting. Now, this is a bit of a, as I've said before, a departure from some of the thinking around contact first prospecting, where it's like I need to just reach as many contacts as possible. The spray and pray approach I talk about, which is leading to a lot of waste, a lot of wasted money, and frustration. So one of my mentors said when I was earlier in my career, don't confuse activity with progress. They are not the same. They are close cousins, but they are not the same. It didn't really dawn on me what he meant until I saw that I was doing a whole bunch of busy work, thinking I was actually moving the ball forward, and I wasn't going anywhere, and making myself feel good. And so I had to kind of just take stock of my business, say, the things that I am doing, are they actually mapping to my objectives? And am I as efficient in using the tools and resources around me? And am I thinking about this the right way? So that last piece, thinking about it the right way, this is what this is about. And clearly you guys know that data is top of mind for me. My job is to make data approachable, to give it a little bit of to humanize it a bit, and to show you how you can harness it and actually tell great stories with it, and allow those stories to have you be more effective in your conversations. So today's roadmap, we're going to reframe and recall based on what we talked about yesterday, just anchoring in what we said so you can see the build. These things aren't disparate. They're all part of a plan. We're going to talk about the importance of property intelligence. We're going to look at Navigate. Now, I'm just going to do just a couple sample searches of a single property search, but also an area farm. They're true, we'll call it magic, but the sessions that we do, for those of you who have done it, I'm sure you'll agree. And for those of you who have yet to have done it, hopefully I'll get a chance to share with you why I think this tool can be potent, but we'll put some of what we're talking about around the importance of property intelligence and what stories are emerging and how that can impact your communication, so you can be much more precise. We'll put that on display, and we'll do some housekeeping at the end, and then we'll have our Q&A session. So moving beyond basic prospecting, this is, for me, this session is all about how do we pick up on buyer signal, property signals, if you will. And, there's this equation that kind of surfaced for me, which kind of put it all together when I was building Navigate, but reflecting on it and working with agents. It was property intelligence alone can't tell the full story. Integral part, but there's a piece missing. Owner information, you start to get this picture, the profile starts to round out. The two of those combined in my equation-based mind equals motivation. And that's what we're looking for. And the whole point behind this is when you start to have conversations with individuals, whether you're door knocking, sending out postcards, whatever your tactic is that it's rooted in a sound insight and something that matters, attention that is taking place, or something that's topical to that seller, if you will, or that individual. They may not know it. You may have to illuminate it and showcase it and share that you're helping others actually take advantage of it, or they might be aware of it. And your job is to take the awareness and lack of desire to move forward and bring it forward, right? And so scarcity, all these kind of sales tactics you see about why the need to make a move now, those are kind of tools in your tool set, which we'll talk about, that where you see an insight, you can actually take something exogenous or something that's happening in the market, make them aware of it, and make that insight seem something that needs to happen now. And there's a benefit to doing so now. So we're going to shift the paradigm a bit, which I'm excited about. Some of you, I'm sure, are probably reluctant or anxious about. What is this guy talking about? Totally fair. So again, the what and where, we've got that down. Hopefully you guys have thought about it. I assume there's a large part of the population on the call who has not done any of this, and that is you guys' decision. But for those of you who have taken the time to think about, what are my objectives and goals? Where am I hunting? Right? What properties am I focusing on? Where am I, what's my sweet spot? Right? And what are my profiles of clients that I do better with and have an advantage with? That sets the foundation. Now let's go and find out who you're for. Right? And that is a big piece of this, right? So you know who you're targeting, you know where your sweet spot is. Let's talk about who you are, what you do, and how do you find people that you are for, if you will. So one of the things we have to do before we get to finding out who those people are is, how do we unearth those people that actually map and marry back to where your strengths are? And this is the how. So we're focusing on identifying signals, so recognizing indicators of seller motivation, your ability to take a broad set of homes and properties, narrow them down so you can be more precise. So we know when you do send something out, it is targeted and it's actually meeting that person where they might be at, as opposed to sending something out to someone who they're like, you've missed the mark. And I'll give you a perfect example because this stuff oftentimes comes up in my day to day. Just to peek underneath the hood here. So I was meeting with a large investor yesterday, and we were talking about the real estate business. We were talking about some of the opportunities in prospecting. And he's like, you know what I find so odd? He's like, I just moved in my home about 2 months ago, and I got a postcard from a realtor that said, hey, I don't know if you're interested in selling, but I'd love to have a chat with you about what price could make sense for you. And he's like, is this person even paying attention? And obviously, he chucked it. I'm just surprised he even read it. That's the first win. But he threw it in the trash can. And when I heard that, I go, well, this is an example of what's happening. People are spending money on physical assets that they're sending out, whether it's physical or not. They're spending money and time and missing the mark. And that's $1 or however much they spend on it wasted. And we know that can happen sometime, but the point and objective is that it doesn't happen all the time. And right now, I think it's happening all the time. And I'm sure some of you guys can attest to that. So this is about being really surgical and really efficient. And why does that matter? Right? Being surgical, efficient, precise makes you more potent. It allows you to outmaneuver because you're going in, not doing discovery-based prospecting, which a lot of us are doing right now. Hey, I'm Brandon Weaver. Nice to meet you. Tell me a little bit more about your situation. All right, and here we go. All right. I got to run to an appointment. I'm a busy person. Now the agitation starts to build in because you're not moving fast enough. Now you move to solution-based prospecting. Right? You know a little bit about the situation, how many kids they have, whether they have a low mortgage balance, high equity, whether or not they have distress on the property. Whatever the case may be, you're getting these signals and indicators, and you're not telling them, I know this about you, but you're leading the witness. Right? You're driving the conversation in areas that you know are call it areas of tension or areas of concern or areas of opportunity, depending on how you frame it. And so your line of questioning gets you to the outcome you want. And when you're in those conversations, it's not, let's set up a follow-up call. You're being really precise and focused and mapping to a decision in that moment. And this is when we talk about how do we shorten that path, right? From communication to connection to conversion. So it's not so prolonged and elongated where you give yourself more of a chance to get outmaneuvered or to get outsold by the competition, letting more people in. So how do we spot opportunity? How do we get to it faster? And once we spot it and see it, how do we reach that prospect really efficiently? Today, many of you, there's just the process is clunky, right? There's too many steps. It's manual, too many distractions. It's not end to end. So you might do the first two right, spot an opportunity. Right. By the time you spot the opportunity, recognize it and mobilize to reach out in a week and a half, and that opportunity might have been missed. That window might have closed. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how Navigate can help you. And there's tools that are out there. Navigate's not the only one, clearly. But what we've built, I think, kind of hits at what you guys face day to day and just makes the information really simple and approachable so you know what to do with it. So these clues, I assume, and I don't know, but you guys have been in the business. You guys are ambitious realtors, clearly have built businesses and want to make them even bigger, that you guys know how to spot some of the stuff. And so I just wanted to just show you and showcase kind of how these things come together. And my head thinks and my brain thinks in, I see this. What does this mean? Right? And how do I actually translate what this means into a story that I could tell that's digestible for the end user, right? So we all know there's data out there. What is the data telling us? What theme or something is surfacing, which is great, but can you translate what that is into something that prospect understands? That's sometimes the challenge, right? Because what we're dealing with is kind of esoteric. It is specific to what you guys go through every day, and your audience may not know. They may be intimidated by it. They may not be aware. So your job when you spot these opportunities and share them with your clients is to contextualize them to their day to day, but also speak in simple terms, use an example, um, and share success stories of how you might have helped someone realize something. So that first kind of block there, tile, if you will, should say high equity. So apologies about that. So when you see homes that there's 70% plus equity in the home, maybe no line of credit, that signals something, right? This person is sitting on a lot of cash. Yes, they could refinance, but they may be able to realize some of that value in selling their home. Well, how do you find that information, Brandon? Sure, that story makes sense, but how can I find that? And this is what the technology and tools, the discovery piece to this, will help you spot and identify. Mismatch in neighborhood, right? Small home, 2-bedroom, homes in the area, mixed use, 4 bedrooms. There could be some opportunity that is happening there, right? You might have an opportunity to be in a home where you can realize a sale and there's an investor that might want to buy it, tear it down, and build an investment property. Whatever it is, if you're representing a buyer, here's an opportunity to go after someone whose home is not on the market with an opportunity, saying there's demand. And whether it was a seller that you might, or someone who you want to list your home, right, where you might be able to take a peek underneath the hood and say, hey, this is maybe not the highest and best use home for the area here. You have sitting on a lot of cash, right? Let's look at other opportunities in other areas that might make more sense. You start to layer in profession, you start to layer in number of children. You might have someone who's outgrown their home and they're struggling, don't have time. You brought that opportunity forward. You're like, you know what? I thought about it. It is getting kind of crowded in here. We just got a dog. I got 2 kids, and third coming on the way. I need to find something. There's not a lot of inventory. Don't worry. I actually have a tool where we can actually find you inventory. Well, listen, everybody tells me they show me what's on the MLS. I got 3 guys in here I've talked to. They all show me the same thing. So I stopped really thinking about it and wanting to put my home on the market. That's okay. At Compass, we have tools that can actually spot off-market inventory, homes that are likely to sell, and I can find you what you want. And so all these things that you have, sure, navigate, but your broader selection of tools allow you to move a bit faster and showcase why Compass is giving you the ammunition, if you will, or the ability to help you. And that's what separates you, and that also separates the brand that you work for. Equity in life event, motivated seller, right? We talk about people who are empty nesters, kids have moved, maybe they bought that home because of the school district, but it's not really relevant anymore. Hey, maybe you want to downsize to a condo. You might be a condo specialist, or maybe not. Maybe that's just something you recognize. And so now when you're in that meeting, you have a little bit of the story. You're not just finding out that they're older or that they have a high amount of equity. You might ask that and probe there because you know the answer and have already thought about a solution, but you're not having to go back meeting number 2 to deliver that. You move really, really quickly and take that conversation from interesting insight and observation to have a solution for you. Let's work together. So I think you guys get it. Right? They're not just leads, they're insights here that are in the making. And it's your ability to be able to spot clues or the breadcrumbs, create the story, and then communicate that story. But the most important thing is reaching that person before somebody else does. Right. So that's why the speed to market is really, really important. So you guys have heard me talk about it. I know some of you are like, when are we going to see this thing? This guy keeps talking about Navigate. And for those of you who've done the one-on-one sessions with me, I think you've seen kind of how potent and effective this tool can be. I will caveat it with what you see today won't be what you see in a month's time. As we just launched this product, we are ingesting more and more data that will only serve you better. So we can start to identify these, call them breadcrumbs or clues, pull them out, craft a story, and then communicate efficiently at scale. So I'm going to put the platform on the screen and we're going to walk through just a couple different types of searches so you can see what this thing is all about. Just someone give me a thumbs up if they can see my screen and if the size of the screen is okay. Yes, kinda, sorta. Namita, I'm looking at you, so.
Can you zoom in a little bit? I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to be looking at. I mean, we see a map.
Well, yeah, you're looking at what I'm looking at, Jessica. So we're
Yeah.
gonna get there. But if you see a map, that's good. That's all I need for right now. And then we'll go through it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what you see now, if you guys have been in, some of you, I guess, haven't been in a free trial because you can't get in. But for those of you who've been on the call, this should look familiar. What you see here is it starts with the map, right? This whole thing starts and is powered by search. The area you see is Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, the area that I'm sitting in right now. It is geolocated to where your IP address is. So for wherever you guys are in the country, it will start with your surrounding geography. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a single property search. Now, this is not how we envision people prospecting. We know people like to look at areas, but who am I to tell you how to prospect? I might have a point of view, but you guys know how you guys go about search. And you may be driving around, see a home and say, hey, that home is perfect for what my client was looking for. Let me jot it down and let me see if I can get some information on it. So now, you have a tool at your disposal that you drive and are in charge of. Not asking for a title company to get you the information, coming back with a phone number, no email. Okay, I got to fill it in. You have something that within moments can get you information on properties. Excuse me, I'm just going to minimize this here. I'm not sure if you guys even see that, but it's distracting to me. And what we have here is clearly you can see the property we've zoomed in on, Beverly Hills. And this is a property card in our world. And we know in some markets that the home, it's great to see it, but it's also great to know what's around it, right? Is there a liquor store there? Whatever the case may be, you want to be able to actually do a little bit more than just getting a static property. You know, I see some of my competitors that are out there have photos of homes and a bird's eye view of the roof. Sure, it's great. I'd love to know if the roof's okay, but like I really want to get a better feel for the property. So we both have a static and dynamic view for you. We have we've included a proprietary kind of property estimator, very similar to Zillow, but we know that some people aren't the biggest fans of Zillow. They overshoot the price sometimes, not the best indicator. So we've kind of come up with a proprietary one, spent a lot of time on this. And what you'll see are the min and the max values, the estimated value. Now it's funny, as much as I show this property here, you'll notice that 55% confidence, it's really low. This is kind of like an edge case that I'm investigating. Most of the ones you'll see will be 95, 96% confidence, but at least you have an idea of where that property value might be to start to have conversations with clients around what they can expect and what being realistic is. And also when you're making me to move campaigns and offers, likely to sell, the likely to sell tool that Compass offers you, you then start to just have, again, other places to get information to make the story and outreach a bit more crisp. Likely to sell is an effective and potent tool. I was talking with Courtney Smith last week about it, and she was saying how it gets better and better each time, right? As more and more information gets in there. But being able to marry a likely to sell with something like Navigate with the information goes from great strategy, great idea to really effective, right? I can be really more precise in these conversations. So you'll see all the basic indicators, and this isn't something that you guys can't find maybe in one place, sure, but other places have this information. So this isn't terribly exciting, but it's good to know. Bed bath count, square footage, price per square footage. And this is where kind of the power of this platform starts to come to life. So we see the owner of the property, her name, obviously, her age. And before you even did anything else, let's just say you didn't have any contact information and you just had that. From our platform, if you saw this home and something was interesting about it and you wanted to reach out to this person, you could, from our platform, quickly send a letter to this individual. And what you see here is just a brief mock-up. What's spinning on the screen, I don't know why that's taking so long, is the copy where you could write your own message to that person, right? Whatever that campaign or idea or thought was. If it is, hey, I saw your home, have a buyer, Sure. But within seconds, you can see a home, get the information, type in what you want to type in, and send out a letter, and be done with it and move on. And while it's not showing up on the left, this is strange. Maybe they're working in it. That's functionality of the platform, as well as same thing with email. So your ability to type in the email, even though you can't see it here, what you see here is what is actually should be on the left, but you can manipulate the copy here, add certain fields to it that you want to put in here, and send it out to them from your own email. So, and that's instantaneous. So this whole thing is I think you guys are starting to see is, hey, I saw something of interest. I got the information. I know what I want to say, and I want to reach that person. And literally between the time I just started this conversation to what I'm showing you now, you could have already done that and been on your day. Now that's one-to-one, and that might be of interest to some. Maybe you guys work in areas that are, it's not about volume, it's more about, hey, I'm targeting an affluent prospect, if you will, and they don't really respond to email. They don't really respond to letter, normal USPS letter. I'd like to do something different. And what you might do is you might take that contact rather, and export it. And you can export that contact, not to say you would do one, but you can export it to a CSV and upload it in Business Tracker and do whatever you want to do with it. If you want to send a certified mail campaign, because that moves the needle, it's your choice, but we want to give you guys a degree of freedom and flexibility to do your own offline play. All right. So yes, you can send a postcard, you can send an email, you can send a letter, sure. But if you have something that works and you just need the information, we want to be the person that provides you the information and let you run your play. So the next thing I'm going to do is an area search. And I just want to make sure I'm on actually the right Wi-Fi. Okay. And again, we're going to look at Beverly Hills because that's the area next to me. And what you see is we searched by zip code, and you're able to actually see where it starts, where it stops. A lot of times when you type that in, you're like, okay, great, Beverly Hills. Well, how do I know? And could I be veering into West Hollywood? So we wanted to actually just flag that, all that out. And we are going to zoom in. And we're going to create a farm. I like to call it a strike zone, whatever you want to call it. We're going to find an area of interest, and we're going to start to put boundaries around that area. Really simple. And what we've done is, and you can see the steps on top, if those are, if that's something you're noticing, but if not, I'll explain. So what you've done is you pulled back 202 properties in this area, and the only reason why these properties aren't populating is because as you scroll down through this list, those properties will populate. We're just showing you the ones that are visible to you now. And whether there's an address within there that you are interested in, you can certainly type it. If it's, call it 340 Maple, North Maple. All right. You could focus in on that individual one. You could scroll through those like this, but maybe some people do want to do that. Maybe they don't. You could select an individual one and see a quick view. So we'll look at 336 Foothill Road, not the greatest one, but what's interesting about this, which I don't like to let on because it's an opportunity area for us, maybe not as topical for you, is the way the data that we have gotten is not just on residential properties. We actually can pull data on commercial, industrial, vacant land. I don't talk about it a ton because it's not really the focus area, but if you were dealing with clients that had that and wanted to get information, you could use our site to do that as well. But it's neither here nor there. We will focus on properties that make sense to you. So right now we're looking at a property 346 North Maple. You're getting all the indicators here, multifamily. You can see, I'm actually familiar with this property. Just a little bit more about the street scene. And as we go through these, we're going to find, let's just scroll down. So this is really interesting. So whether it's single family, multifamily, whatever the property type is, oftentimes when I speak to agents, they always tell me, Brandon, some of these homes, especially in areas, New York City being one, South Florida, LA, a lot of affluent areas, it's difficult to get information if those homes are held within an LLC or a trust. And so you kind of like given up on getting that information. And I'm not here to tell you I can get that 100% of the time, but I am here to tell you that we have spent a ton of time on the coding and logic in the back end to be able to do and get that information and pierce those entities, call them corporate or business entities, about 65% of the available properties at about 90% accuracy. So if you are struggling, whether you use Property Shark in the Northeast or you just can't get information, so here's one, not the best example to show on a call, but this is usually what you get, right? No contact data available. And that's what a lot of these sites and a lot of platforms, that's what you normally come back with. And that's going to happen, right? That's the reality of certain things. But on a lot of searches, and hopefully this pulls back something, here you go. LLC, and you're able to pull Samuel Freshman's information, age, and everything you see here is not just phone number or email just for the sake of having that. It is ranked by relevancy. So where Mr. Freshman might have recently applied in the credit application, that's the number he used, the email he used. And because this is a business, you not only have the property address, you have the business address as well. And what I get really excited about, going back to the whole notion of having more information, right? And with more information, you can start to tell these stories. We built a product within this called Navigate Property Profile Plus. And what we've done is we've given you information that goes a little bit deeper on that individual. So in this case, Mr. Freshman, right? The language he speaks, if he's married or not, what he might do for a living, estimated income, net worth, credit score. And a lot of these, when they have children, populate with children. So now you're getting a view on who this person might be. So if you know this person is the president of the company, estimated net worth, high, whatever it might be, you're starting to see some signals of, okay, this person probably values their time as a business owner. My presentation needs to look and feel probably a certain way. Or I might be focusing on certain things that might resonate. If he has children, if this person has children, 2 or 3, you might say, hey, I see you're in a 2-bedroom home, 3 children. That's interesting. Like, seems like you at the stage where you might need to move. Right. So all these little clues and indicators you can start to put to use. And the other thing I just want to point out here is your ability to actually filter. And what you see here are just standard filters, right, by property type. So you'll see condo, multifamily, single family, occupancy, tax assessed value, estimated value. So you can hone in on, I want to work with homes in this area. And why that's important is I was talking with someone on the call earlier this week. It was actually my first or second session. And they said, hey, Brandon, I know my GCI goal. I see the turnover in the area. I know how many transactions I need to do. But if I do that, I'm not going to get to that GCI goal. So it told me that, hey, I actually need to be playing at a different price point. And that I got goosebumps because like that's the power of going through this process. So now if that's where you need to be playing at a different price point, like how do I find opportunities at that price point? So this tool can help you identify those. You'll see standard filters that you'd expect, and those filters will only increase as we ingest more data. So I'll leave you with these 2 things, which you'll see in the platform by the close of this month, so at the end of August. We will be able to filter by mortgage information, so loan products, mortgage balance, interest rate, which will be very key for you when you see an estimated value and you see low mortgage balance, opportunity, clue. And we will also have a propensity to default radar. So if a person is late on their mortgage, tax delinquency, It'll give you a reading on this person is likely to be in default. So if you're working with investors, whatever the case may be, you'll be able to pinpoint those instead of trying to find them. You know who they are and laser focus with your pitch to them. So this whole thing is about how do I search, identify, get the information, organize the information, and reach people at scale. And I'll show you one more thing and then we'll go back. We want you to have the ability to organize all the properties. You'll see all 202 populated here. And actually, let's do one thing here. I'm just going to narrow it a bit more. And we can create a campaign. So what this is just like a list and it organizes this. So now you have all those homes organized together. You can export them into a CSV. You can go back and edit them if you want to filter them down even more, and you can toggle between them. This happens to be the same building. This is interesting. So these are all the units within that building, which you can access. But it just makes it really simple for you guys to just get the information, understand it, and take an action with it. And here you can see just another example. This home in a trust, before you'd say, oh, Jesus, best of luck finding that. Well, here you go. And here's a little bit more about them. So when you reach out to Thomas, you have a little bit better of a story. So let me go back to where I was before. See, I'm doing on time, 9:09. So that is what I'm really excited about. Hopefully you guys if you set a one-on-one session with me, a strategy session, we'll go through that, put your market to work and pull back and actually create a campaign for you, right? Put it to work. Property intelligence, this is giving you leverage in these conversations. We talked about the property, that's the signal. The owner is the audience. Navigate or any prospecting tool you use, doesn't have to be mine. That should be your engine and accelerant. And your result should be higher conversion, better efficiency in your conversation, and shortening that path to impact. That's all this is about, guys. Right? Shortening the path to impact. And for me, why I get excited is this moves you from being focused on transactions to now having a conversation with people around transformation. And while it may seem like, a cliche and what a great tagline, the more you start to embrace this kind of idea and paradigm and shift in thinking and see the value in what the story that the property is telling and the combination of these two, you move from, just being an agent who is, I'm just like everybody else, right? Trying to get information on you and giving you my best pitch. So now when you put all these elements together, you're in an area, you're targeting, you have your best shot with these particular properties and these particular types of clients. You know how your pitch needs to sound, look, and feel. You know who you're for. You know more about the target that you're talking to. Hopefully you guys can see it becomes much more, all the little loose strings, the things that frustrate you. Why aren't I making any progress here? I thought I had a qualified lead. It wasn't qualified. It wasted my time. It is reducing the waste in your day-to-day that today might feel good, right? But it's actually not adding to your business. And now when you talk to clients, this isn't about, hey, I'm just like every other agent. You're a solution-based agent who knows the story before you go in. And in that moment, we're making decisions. We're not doing discovery. And your clients will appreciate it. The nature of your conversations and scope of those conversations will change, and you'll see more opportunities come out of that. Your clients move from prospect to promoters. They will evangelize you. This person came in, knew exactly what my pain point was and addressed it. Was quick, simple, made it easy to understand and digestible. When we talk about how do we move your business, how do we get that extra 10, 20% that you know is within your grasp, but you just can't seem to grab it, These are the things, not a tactic, right? Not chasing, oh, you guys should do this. You should run this. Oh, somebody said this. Let me run after the shiny thing. Resist the temptation to do that. I know everybody does it. I've done it before. Starts with the foundation, and it all literally complements everything you do if you do it right. And this presentation gets sent to you, so I'll let you guys, read through these final 2 slides. But for me, modern prospecting, in our point of view, and when I talk to agents and talk to investors, it's not about people. Everybody's doing that. It's about properties. Properties are at the fulcrum. Properties are the catalyst for transacting. The property is what tells the story. And knowing that gives you a competitive advantage. So quick housekeeping. For those of you who have downloaded the cheat sheet, great. I think I sent you guys another resource that kind of goes and dives a bit deeper on the cheat sheet for some of you looking for a bit more substance and red meat, right? What do these things mean? So hopefully you guys got that. And if you've not booked your one-on-one session, you should. I think those of you who've done it have seen it's been really effective. I've certainly learned a lot. If anything, like you've taught me. And I think they're really good conversations to have, just addressing what it is you're experiencing, what your objectives are, what you're trying to do. Some of you might be moving cities and new territories, new markets. What's the first thing I do? How do I take all of this? Oh my God, where do I start? And put it into an actionable plan so you have a fighting chance. All those conversations surface. This is not about, let me just show you navigate. It's a conversation about your business. Some of you I'm having subsequent calls on, which I get excited about. So hopefully you guys take the leap and do that. And hopefully you guys learned a little bit today about the importance of property signals, how to apply them with property intelligence, and how to activate them, put those things to use in some of your conversations. So I'm going to stop sharing, as I know I went through that at a faster pace just to speed things up and give you back your time. But I always open these things, and maybe rightly or wrongly, I've done a lot of the talking here. You guys are the ones doing the work. I'm curious. I think I know the answer, but it'd be great to just hear some of you articulate, what some of the challenges are today when you think about prospecting. Some of you have not done it and are doing it for the first time. Some of you have done it and given up. Really the people who have been frustrated, just kind of thrown in the towel, like what have been the reasons why you guys have thrown in the towel? Is it because you can't get the right data? You just haven't been able to close? You've spent too much money? I would just love to hear from a representative or anybody who feels the need to speak up just about what they've experienced.
Yeah, I'm Russ from Morgan Hill Compass, and I started a farm area, and I have Core Fact postcards going out, so people have a QR code they can click on. It gives them their value, and it lets me know. And my biggest frustration, and this is what caused me to join this, is the fact that out of 18 calls I made, only about 4 phone numbers were correct. And there were disconnects and all that. And, I've cold called for 46 years. That's not a big deal, but having this kind of information is going to make all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear. That's certainly one thing that I heard, like, whether you source it from a title company and you get it in the file, I just assumed when I heard that the file was actually complete. I don't know how accurate it was, but it was at least complete. I found out, and I looked at it, I did it myself, that it wasn't. So there were gaps. And then when I went to go scrub it, like it was all stale information and not the right one. I'm like, well, this is frustrating. So now you guys have to do that too on top of. So I got to request it. I got to scrub it, organize it, get it in my CRM. It's just a lot. And you guys deserve better. In other industries, some of them experience that pain, but a lot of other industries have just figured this out. Like when I was investigating this, I was like, really? Like No one has been able to figure this out. And even if you're on the commercial side and you're using CoStar, I talked to a lot of commercial brokers and anyone in that space. It's the same thing. That nobody trusts the information. They have to have it because everybody has it, but it's not effective. And so they pay the subscription. It's like, what am I getting out of it? So I hear you, Russ. And hopefully if you choose to use Navigate, you'll see like we spent a ton of time. I could have easily delivered this at the top of the year, but I didn't like the accuracy. And I knew for you guys, like the accuracy needs to be great and the distribution. I got to get it out of scale and do what you do best, close deals. Right?
So,
Not fumble the
So, Brandon-
spreadsheets. Yeah, go ahead, Namita.
Thanks, Brandon.
yeah, I missed a couple of sessions. So I just want to clarify. So when you send that, when we go through this whole process or try the free trial, I want to clarify we do get emails and phone number addresses, email address and phone numbers for the properties, and they've been
Yeah, so
verified. Okay.
yeah, so you get, Namita, you get exactly what I just showed you on the screen. This isn't
Okay.
what you
I
saw
just
was
wanted
literally
to
me. No,
Yeah.
I know, but I didn't put up here's a dummy thing so that what you saw is
No,
literally
I
me going into
want
it.
to just
Yeah, no,
confirm.
you're
I
right.
just want.
You're right to ask.
Secondly, since as I said, I missed, when do I schedule that one-on-one with you? And how
So,
long
Namita,
should I time it
Namita, let's
for?
do this. Let me email you offline so we don't bore the group with our thing, but
Sure.
I'll
Thank you.
send you a link and we'll do a time together and we'll
Perfect.
walk through all of it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Brandon, this is Wendy Marioni. The question that you asked on the table was, what challenges
Yes.
do we have with what you've shown, right? Okay, so a lot of data, a lot of information. For those of us that maybe don't love data as much as you, and I would probably be one of them, I
Yep.
feel like I'm going to get data paralysis. So that's the first
Yes,
one. So
yes.
maybe not
Yep.
knowing what to say. Right. And I see myself falling into a rabbit hole like, oh, this is all great. I've got all this information, but it's the action
Right.
step and when to take the action step. And on top of that is a layer of Compass coaching in all different forms, Momentum Mondays, whatever. I mean, all different forms where everyone's like, well, you have to really know your prospect and you have to know what to say. And I feel sometimes I might say the wrong thing. And so do you have any advice for people that might be in this position?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you, Wendy. So I hear you. The data paralysis is real and it is everywhere you go, not just real estate. People have loved to just say, oh, we have the data. And you've heard me say it, right? It's not the data, it's the application. It's what you do with it, right? How do you extract and do I have the right data? And am I able to extract it and tell a story? Data without a story is pointless. Let's be honest, right? You're just looking at a whole bunch of numbers. So with our platform, and hopefully you saw during our session and you saw today, I don't even want to bring up the other platforms. I could easily just put up on the screen some of our competitors. And the first thing I felt when I saw it was like, it's just this deluge of data. Like, is that even relevant? Should I care about that? Like, am I supposed to know that? And it was like, and I didn't do anything because it was too much. And I actually felt worse about the situation. Maybe I just don't know enough, right? Or maybe I'm not thinking about it the way somebody else is. So I just didn't do anything. So in our platform, what we wanted to do is just we call it merchandising the data. No different than you going into a department store, you know where the purses are, you know where this is, right? And it's the right data, not data just for like, oh yeah, we wanted to put the roof material on there. Great. Maybe not something I need right now. Nice information. And make the ones that count really prominent and the ones that aren't as important, suppress those, but have the ability to actually access it. So to your question, I think one of the things that we can work on and this session is about is, all this stuff is to complement some of the things you hear with Sharad and also what Compass told you. You mentioned you got to really know your prospect. The only thing I am telling you, which might be a slight difference, and where the fallacy is yeah, you got to know your prospect, but you can't know their prospect. You can't know your prospect without knowing their motivation. And the motivation oftentimes lies in the thing that they're sitting on top of. And that tells the story. So Shirag, not any fault of his, might be telling you, oh, you got to know their occupation. You got to know where they hang out, and this and this and this. Sure. All I'm saying is there's another, I say a primary actor in this play. He might say secondary. But if you know that information and can find it and extract it along with this, now we're not talking about, oh, you should know your thing and you'll be able to convert. You literally, there's no reason why you should not have a competitive edge and be able to actually close that window faster. Nobody else, not nobody, others aren't able to, like you guys are representative of probably the entire agent population, this cross section. If they can't get access to the right data, it's not accurate. They can't reach them faster. Now you guys can. They don't have all the other information that's there that can paint the picture, and you guys have access to it. There's like the only reason why you shouldn't be able to convert is maybe it wasn't the right time, maybe they didn't have interest, maybe they didn't like you and your energy, whatever it was. But it's certainly not because you didn't know the picture and you weren't prepared. And this is all about preparation. So now, Wendy, our job is how do we spot the clues? And I think that is where the teaching comes in. Now, I'll assume you guys know all the clues. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But once you start to see these things, you put that to this, aha, and that's where I need to focus in on. That's what gets me excited, right? So I think of it like an equation, and I talk a lot about data, but trust me, like I'm not oh my God, I wake up thinking about it. But my brain thinks in like, okay, if I see this, solve for X, boom. And that's the story. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, but it leads me to a second question is on the information that you showed us, when searching, I have two more questions. So Carol, I'll be brief,
Yep.
and these are probably short answers. So when you were searching, there was a button that would filter excluding entities. And I want to know if we,
Yes.
if we toggled that button, would it take away all the trusts? So
Yep.
we're only selling to homeowners that don't have a trust.
Yep. Or LLC. So anything that's
Got
in a trust or LLC, you can make the decision if you want to include those in your search or if you want to exclude those.
Got it. Third question is, I noticed that there's only one owner that is shown, and frequently married people, both people on title. Is there a way to see the second owner's name?
So this is a longer discussion. So what we wanted to do
Thinking
is
yes or
tie
no.
it's never yes or no with me, right? Especially in this game. We can pull back both, but we wanted to tie and it's in large part the contact in the background that one data provider is providing versus who is on title, who shows up on the deed, and then who we have information for. And then it's the search in the background is actually who is the primary contact, not necessarily showing who are both on title, but it's the person that you need to talk to. I don't know how else to describe it, but like we can talk about it on our Fall Friday. There's a whole long process, but know that what you see, even if there are multiple people on title, that's the person that you need to get a hold of. And it's so interesting you say that first property that I showed you, right? That 506 North Alta one where it said Lindsay Rosenblatt. We actually had it to where it was the other person on title. His name's Ezra. I know them. They're friends of mine. But he's actually not the owner of the property, the key decision maker. It's Lindsay, right? And so this was like our test case as far as hierarchy. So it's a fascinating question for some, but there's a lot of science behind it. But just know that that person that you see, that is going to be your primary contact for that home.
Okay, thank you. And then I have one last question is, you showed us how we could mail or email with a single property. If we did a campaign, would we be able to email like a bulk email or bulk mail?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
In my haste, I was cognizant of the fact that I might be going over on time, so I should have actually done that last step. So just so you can do one-to-one, you can do one-to-many. So that's 60, that example, right? 65 properties in that campaign. With the click of a button, just like Wendy said, you can send out an email, send out a mail, and in about 2 weeks' time, send out a postcard, which I'm excited about, to all of those individual owners with that message. And the beauty about this is, today you might have to fumble around with postage and the post office is just another step. We have a mail distributor in the background that you just hit the button and you don't have to worry about it, and you can track all the mail when it was sent, when it was received. And we've negotiated, postage rates that should be lower than what you get because we're doing it at such scale. So it's one less thing to worry about. So hopefully that is something you guys find valuable.
You can always find the second owner just by pulling up your title company app and pulling a profile. It shows everybody on title.
Yes, but then that's another app you have to go to.
Well,
Yeah.
I just put the address in and I pull it up in 2 seconds. But I'm just saying that's what I do.
And we might do, Wendy, because again, these things I want to make this. Listen, it's not perfect. I never said it is, but what you guys should realize is wherever you go to, somebody mentioned Vulcan 7, there's DealStream, PropStream, Deal Machine, PropStream. The list goes on and on, right? We talk for the next hour about them. Nobody is having this conversation with this audience, hearing what's valuable to them and what matters. So Wendy, you'll say, that's important to me. Russ, you'll say, yeah, you can get it. You go to your app. Wendy's like, I don't want to have, the whole point is to not have to toggle between two things. Well, you better believe the next thing I'm going to do is on my next call, I'll be like, hey guys, I was just talking to some realtor. We maybe should have who's on title as a something on our property card, because that's a value.
Yeah.
That's how quickly we move. Insight to action, and why I love this. Again, this is for you guys, right? And we want to make it effective for you. There's no pride of authorship. So the feedback is welcome. You'll get more out of it, right? The tool is designed for you guys to complement the way you prospect.
Okay,
Sounds
so I have a
fantastic.
question, Brandon. Sorry, Russ.
Yes.
We've been hanging here. So, as far as our search goes, is it like zip code specific, or do we have access to the whole county? Or
You have access to the country. So zip
The
code,
country, okay.
county, city. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so then beyond that, though, somebody asked in the chat, which was a great question. When properties are held in LLCs, it's really hard to find out who's below that LLC or behind it. Do you have any tools that help us discover who the LLC is, or where,
Yeah. I mean, I thought I showed you guys. So you literally just, if you see an LLC on there, just click entity search and it tells you all the information, who's behind it.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Sorry
wasn't-
if that wasn't clear.
right.
That's
No,
something that
I-
we spend a ton of time doing it for that reason right there, because it's not reliable. You kind of give up, and you give up hope, and everybody says, oh, we can get it, and nobody can get it. And I'm not saying I'm some crazy data scientist. I am certainly not. But fortunately for me, I employ one. And we really focused on that, because I was like, that can be a huge competitive advantage. And so, Carol, what you'll find is if you do the trial, or if you are one-on-one, I can just show you and go into greater detail. Again, we can get it 65% of the time, which is far better than our competitors, and with about 90% accuracy.
All right, thank
And
you.
that's LLC and trust.
Actually, that brought up another point. So,
There you
like
go.
in
All right.
my county, I mean, we do pre-sale disclosure packages, and so people open up pre-sale escrows. And there's a lot of times where you have someone interested in a property, or you're looking at a property and you're looking at the disclosure package. The prelim does not have the certificate of death yet. A trustee or executor is making the transfer. And the reason
Mhm.
why these people are not filing the certificate of death is because, their property taxes on this house are like $600, and now the
Oh, yeah.
the new valuation is going to be worth $2 million, and they don't want to trigger that reassessment. So and just going through that myself, because we sold a house in a family, and it got reassessed when we filed the first death certificate. And then 2 of the trustees of the 3 died. And so we got reassessed 3 times on this property. So I'm like, oh, now I know why nobody's doing this, you know? So
Carol,
it's kind of hard to uncover that death portion on these searches if they're not filing this stuff.
this is true. Carol, I actually want to take that conversation offline because I
Okay.
literally, let's take that conversation offline. I
Okay.
literally just went through this and didn't, there's no reassessment. If you're the trust and the process, if you do it the right way, you shouldn't have been reassessed, but it's a whole other thing. But I actually want to help you with that because I navigated this, no pun intended, well, and it sounds like somebody was not telling you the right thing to do here. So can you email me offline and just have a separate conversation about this? Because I just want to fact find about that a little bit more outside of Navigate, just the situation.
Yeah, what is your email?
It's
Brandon at
Brandon.
Sharag Shot Coaching or?
No, Brandon at navigatenow.com.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just was recording the death certificate is what did it.
Yeah, but so your process that you went through, it's the same exact thing, and there's just a way you can handle it better where you're not you still get the benefit of having the low tax base. You don't get reassessed, and you're able to actually, if you end up selling, take if you get an appraisal, whatever that value is and any work that you did to the property, your step up,
Yeah.
and actually have that be your total amount in it, right? So that's what the total value is. And if you sell it, let's just say, I'll give you an example. Shit, we're just talking about it here. I had a home, I inherited it, person passed, I put it in the trust, and this is maybe where it is, before that person passed, right? So we moved that asset to me, right, through the trust, but it was already in my trust. So when I sold it, because I put in about $800,000 of improvements into that home, I sold it at a loss, right? I sold it at $2 million, but I was in it for probably 2.4, right? So I took the $400,000 loss. I only owed $800,000. I didn't pay any taxes. I literally booked the gain, zero taxes. To the IRS, it was all a loss. So it's how you pass it through. That's the key. So again, we'll have a separate conversation without going too
Okay,
much into my
thank you.
personal
I
business. But
appreciate that.
yeah. But my accountant, we spent a ton of time figuring this little wrinkle out. But this is like wealth transfer 101, right? And so I want to make sure that you're getting the right advice.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I know that was a little bit outside of scope for this conversation, but hey. Any relationship advice you guys need? Anything else? It's a joke, guys. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's out of scope. We're at least in
sorry.
California. I mean, everyone's pretty much got a trust, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
depending on your
Yeah.
region, I think it's very relevant, or at least to know
Yes,
about what you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry. The topic, yes, my own personal thing. That's what I was saying, a little bit out of scope. And yes, the topic 100% is, especially in California. So I'm glad you asked.
All right.
So guys, we're over time, and I actually am late for my next call. Surprise, surprise. So I want to thank you. Hopefully this was informative for you. I got some really exciting stuff for the following sessions. We're going to talk about demystifying digital marketing, which I'm sure will be a big relief for all you guys, and bringing in someone from the outside who's helped me demystify it. But there's some really cool stuff on the docket in the following weeks. It won't be so heavily Navigate, so don't worry about it. This is talking about the full picture of prospecting, and this is just one element. So get excited. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Please book your session if you haven't. Really want to meet you guys one-on-one, learn more about your business, and have a great week.
All right. Thanks a million, Brian.
Take care.
You.
Thank you.